I continue my reading of Pope Benedict XVI's Encyclical letter entitled Caritas in Veritate, which is to say, Integral Human Development in Charity and Truth. I begin at number 40 in chapter 3, the title of this chapter being Fraternity, Economic Development and Civil Society. I shall read numbers 40 and 41. Number 40. Today's international economic scene, marked by grave deviations and failures, requires a profoundly new way of understanding business enterprise. Old models are disappearing, but promising new ones are taking shape on the horizon. Without doubt, one of the greatest risks for businesses is that they are almost exclusively answerable to their investors, thereby limiting their social value. Owing to their growth in scale and the need for more and more capital, it is becoming increasingly rare for business enterprises to be in the hands of a stable director who feels responsible in the long term, not just the short term, for the life and results of his company. And it is becoming increasingly rare for businesses to depend on a single territory. Moreover, the so-called outsourcing of production can weaken the company's sense of responsibility towards the stakeholders, namely the workers, the suppliers, the consumers, the natural environment, and the broader society, in favour of the shareholders, who are not tied to a specific geographical area and who therefore enjoy extraordinary mobility. Today's international capital market offers great freedom of action, yet there is also increasing awareness of the need for greater social responsibility on the part of business. Even if the ethical considerations that currently inform debate on the social responsibility of the corporate world are not all acceptable from the perspective of the Church's social doctrine, there is nevertheless a growing conviction that business management cannot concern itself only with the interests of the proprietors, but must also assume responsibility for all the other stakeholders who contribute to the life of the business, the workers, the clients, the suppliers of various elements of production, the community of reference. In recent years, a new cosmopolitan class of managers has emerged, who are often answerable only to the shareholders, generally consisting of anonymous funds which de facto determine their remuneration. By contrast, though, many far-sighted managers today are becoming increasingly aware of the profound links between their enterprise and the territory or territories in which it operates. Pope Paul VI invited people to give serious attention to the damage that can be caused to one's home country by the transfer abroad of capital purely for personal advantage. John Paul II taught that investment always has moral as well as economic significance. All this, it should be stressed, is still valid today despite the fact that the capital market has been significantly liberalized, and modern technological thinking can suggest that investment is merely a technical act, not a human and ethical one. There is no reason to deny that a certain amount of capital can do good if invested abroad rather than at home. Yet the requirements of justice must be safeguarded with due consideration for the way in which the capital was generated and the harm to individuals that will result if it is not used where it was produced. What should be avoided is a speculative use of financial resources that yields to the temptation of seeking only short-term profit, without regard for the long-term sustainability of the enterprise, its benefit to the real economy, and attention to the advancement, in suitable and appropriate ways, of further economic initiatives in countries in need of development. It is true that the export of investments and skills can benefit the populations of the receiving country. Labour and technical knowledge are a universal good, yet it is not right to export these things merely for the sake of obtaining advantageous conditions, or worse, for purposes of exploitation, without making a real contribution to local society by helping to bring about a robust, productive and social system, an essential factor for stable development. Number 41. In the context of this discussion, it is helpful to observe that business enterprise involves a wide range of values, becoming wider all the time. The continuing hegemony of the binary model of market plus state has accustomed us to think only in terms of the private business leader of a capitalist bent on the one hand and the state director on the other. In reality, business has to be understood in an articulated way. There are a number of reasons of a meta-economic kind for saying this. Business activity has a human significance prior to its professional one. It is present in all work understood as a personal action, an actus personae, which is why every worker should have the chance to make his contribution, knowing that in some way he is working for himself. With good reason, Pope Paul VI taught that everyone who works is a creator. It is in response to the needs and the dignity of the worker, as well as the needs of society, that there exist various types of business enterprise. Over and above the simple distinction between private and public, each of them requires and expresses a specific business capacity. In order to construct an economy that will soon be in a position to serve the national and global common good, it is appropriate to take account of this broader significance of business activity. It favours cross-fertilization between different types of business activity, with shifting of competences from the non-profit world to the profit world and vice versa, from the public world to that of civil society, from advanced economies to developing countries. Political authority also involves a wide range of values, which must not be overlooked in the process of constructing a new order of economic productivity, socially responsible and human in scale. As well as cultivating differentiated forms of business activity on the global plane, we must also promote a dispersed political authority, effective on different levels. The integrated economy of the present day does not make the role of states redundant, but rather it commits governments to greater collaboration with one another. Both wisdom and prudence suggest not being too precipitous in declaring the demise of the state. In terms of the resolution of the current crisis, the state's role seems destined to grow, as it regains many of its competences. In some nations, moreover, the construction or reconstruction of the state remains a key factor in their development. The focus of international aid within a solidarity-based plan to resolve today's economic problems should rather be on consolidating constitutional, judicial, and administrative systems in countries that do not yet fully enjoy these goods. Alongside economic aid, there needs to be aid directed towards reinforcing the guarantees proper to the state of law, a system of public order and effective imprisonment that respects human rights, truly democratic institutions. The state does not need to have identical characteristics everywhere. The support aimed at strengthening weak constitutional systems can easily be accompanied by the development of other political players of a cultural, social, territorial and religious nature alongside the state. The articulation of political authority at the local, national and international levels is one of the best ways of giving direction to the process of economic globalization. It is also the way to ensure it does not actually undermine the foundations of democracy. In the next segment, I shall continue reading the Encyclical, beginning at number 42.